Welcome to the stage.
Hi everyone, I'm Jolene, I'm from Singapore. So it is really nice to be able to see everyone in 3D today. After 2 long years, we finally be able to travel. So let's talk a little bit about fear this morning. So fear is a powerful tool, right? We all agree. We have been leveraging on fear to manipulate and control people and to get what we want throughout the history. This is also the same for organized cybercrime groups because they are leveraging or exploiting the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that the pandemic has brought us to target organizations and individuals. So, in today's session, we are going to talk about 3 key points. First, what are the cyber defenders' fears that we have today? What are some of the items or strategies that we can be doing to overcome our fears? Lastly, it's also to understand a little bit about the NetWitness platform to see how we can help our customers and partners to achieve what they want to be. Here are some of the challenges that we have been seeing in the field, in the customers that we talk to, in the customers that we work with. So one of the things that, if I were to gather and summarize, it's what, we call it the fear of missing incidents. How many times that when you talk to your customers, they are afraid of, not knowing what they don't know, right? And to overcome this obstacle, what do? They start planting in more technology, impressive technologies within their environment so that they can detect more incidents, right? So that they are not to kind of overcome their fear of missing incidents that, they know that they are well protected in their environment. But what happens when we are plugging more and more technologies into our customers' environment? This is where they start to see continuous flow of alerts that is coming into their environment. If they have a very large cybersecurity team, 20 over people, that would be fine, right? Because everyone probably would do a good 5 tickets a day. But most of the time in Southeast Asia countries, what we are seeing, the trend is most of the organization wouldn't be able to maintain a very big cybersecurity team. This is where we rely on the 5 to 6 different analysts, experienced and inexperienced in a team, to be able to work through all the tickets that are generated from all these alerting technologies, right? So this would also link to my next fear that we are going to talk about. It's fear of missing analysts. When we put one analyst to work through many different incidents a day, what would happen? This is where they will be tired, right? You are going to see that they are going to be very ineffective. And the stress that brought to them, what will happen? It's where you start to see a flow of, people leaving your organization, your SOC, your cybersecurity team, right? And you start to also realize that it is harder to hire people or experienced people to fill the gap. And on top of that, we are all experiencing a cybersecurity skill shortage gap. And these 2 fears are interlinked, right? This is where, if we look at today's theme, which is trust, all about trust, right? So fear and trust are interlinked. When there is fear, there is lesser trust. So in order to increase the trust within our organization, this is where we have to kind of overcome some of the fears that we spoke about earlier. One of the strategies that in RSA we kind of advocate is you are unable to protect when you can't see, right? So visibility, it's really important in any organization or cybersecurity teams that you have. So what happened today, it's depending on different security maturity journey of your customers. Most of them would have their first set of lenses for investigation, which is called a SIM, right? A SIM is a fabulous technology, but it is also 15 years old at this point in time. A SIM is really good in telling you stories of who went into where, what time did they went in, and where did they went in. So think of it as a door access log, right? The high level of details that you get from a door access log. But what a SIM doesn't tell you is Who is in the room? Are they having a party? Or is there a senior executive meeting going on? Or even who is dancing in the middle of the stage or in the room in this place? This is the exact problem or visibility obstacles that we are seeing in organizations today. So how do we actually go about overcoming this challenge that we are seeing? So collecting network packets is one important key data sources. Why? Because it will answer all the questions that you have in terms of what happened in the room, what are the devices, what are the people that is in the conversation. So essentially, this also means that we are giving our analysts the second lenses that they need. But what about endpoint, right? What are the processes that are running on the memory? Who is the owner of this particular endpoint? Or is there any malware that is, or processes that is talking to the command and control website before it is even infected? So this is where we equip our analysts with a third set of lenses right over there. And why do we need a third set of lenses? Because when you kind of realize as company progresses, a lot of their traffic will get encrypted. More and more traffic are actually being encrypted. So it is definitely of value to be able to see what is going through the endpoint before the data gets encrypted. So what we are doing to our analysts or your customers is doing to their analysts today, it's either number one, they are not providing enough glasses or lenses for their analysts or incident responders to do the work. If not, if they have provided multiple different glasses, that is where they hit into the second roadblock is, they are expecting that all analysts is able to know when to use which glasses. Say, for example, if I'm investigating incident A, I'm supposed to, put on glass number 1. And if I need a second data point, I'm supposed to put in glass number 3. But if you are a experienced analyst or, someone that has 15 years of cybersecurity experience under your belt, you probably have no problem understanding them or when to use what lenses to put all your data points together, right? But what if most of the time, in our team, we do have people that are real fresh grads from the school, analysts that are inexperienced. So this is when they are unable to connect the dots across multiple silo points, right? Visibility is also about putting all the different data sets together, normalizing them, so that your analyst is able to effectively make use of all the very good data points that you have collected, and they are able to sieve out the usable data or actionable intelligence out of the sea of data that they are collected, so that they are able to answer the key question of your who, where, what, why, how. Next, let's talk about visibility is just the start of your whole journey. Let's talk a little bit about orchestration. So today, we deploy multiple technologies into our environment. We have the A-star analysts that we are working with. But let us remember that the best players or the best instruments do not play by themselves, right? They need someone, a conductor, to be standing in front of them and making sense out of the existing workflow or frameworks that the companies are on, and orchestrating through the different investment that you have within your environment. So this is when, imagine that today, you have all your steps, procedures running in a physical binder on a shelf. We can't be expecting our analysts to be looking through the physical binder, looking at page 84 for 10 steps on how to address to a phishing incident. So this is where it is important for all of this key information to be placed in a central repository. Ideally, it should be a different type of procedures or up-to-date procedures for different cases or different category of incidents. Next up, after talking about the O, another key important part of the strategy is the A. So A is for automation, which is at its best, great for speed, to reduce the reaction or investigation time of your SOC team for your analysts. So a lot of the times we are seeing in our organization, it's also, or if you have ever talked to your customers, it's how do we automate across multiple different processes within our environment, right? So one of the advice that we always give, it's also understand the processes or the different tools that your customers is using before advocating automation. It's also understanding the dependencies, the processes that you want to automate before knowing, when I pull the trigger to automate, what would happen? The last thing you would really want to do is to block everyone off the network, which cause a business impact, due to your automation, that, the great automation that you have done. We humans are best seeking, very good pattern seeking machines, right? You give us a very complex picture. Most likely than not, we are able to connect the dots within the picture itself. But let us all agree that today, if I were to put the smartest guy in your team through thousands of events every single day, probably towards the end of the day, they would, run out of working memory. Meaning to say that, towards the end of the day, they probably wouldn't function as well as, at the start of the day, right? So this is where, how do we leverage on analytics, to reduce the workload or the pattern matching work that they have to do every single day? The good news is, today, you do not need to put all the sea of data to your partners or your MSSP, if you are MSSP today, and make your analysts churn through all the whole cumbersome of data to make sense out of it. Leverage on technologies like machine learning so that they are able to automate all this churning of data by themselves. In the last strategy, let's talk about humans. Humans are the most important ingredient in your customer's environment and also in your environment if you're MSSP, right? So a lot of the times, humans, as we are looking at, for fear of missing analysts, one of the key things is, being stressful analysts in your organization. This is where, how do we make them a little bit stickier to the job that they are doing it today? If you have identified a employee or a SOC analyst within your environment, that, this person is an absolute rock star. Although he or she may be onboarded for 6 months, but you know that, he or she is someone that you can't do without. So consider job rotation for your analysts. For example, taking them out of their daily triaging seat for maybe a few hours a week so that they get to shadow and be mentored by level 2 or 3 analysts that on their daily job. So essentially what we are trying to do here is do not tell them or what is their potential career path would be. Instead, show them how would their career path would be like as they are moving up the career ladder. So here are the 5 things that we spoke about, or 5 strategies that we spoke about earlier on how we can help our customers to reduce their FOMI and FOMA. So, as we are looking through the 5 strategies earlier, it is also important that we work with partners, vendors that are able to help the customers or your customers to navigate through the terrain. So a little bit about the NetWitness business unit or NetWitness platform is that at the centerpiece of the NetWitness platform, we will start off with what we call the data planes or the data sensors. We take in logs, network, and endpoint, and we do not stop there. Essentially, as we are taking in the very good data, we normalize all of this data into a singular data set. That would also mean that we are able to leverage machine learning capabilities with a zero-touch behavior analytics with threat intelligence onto the data that we collected. So once the alerts has been fired off, intelligence has came out. So this is where we are able to also help your customers to automate a lot of this procedures that they have, or putting all the run books that they have, which is maybe in a physical shelf right now, into a central repository where anyone is able to follow through the run book and carry out the IR procedures. At the last of the stage, this is where we infuse a lot of this data that we collected with threat intelligence. Threat intel is a very big buzzword this day. You may be hearing a lot from your customers, how do we incorporate a lot of this, data that we have been collecting with threat intel, be it internally or external produced threat intelligence. Before I end off my session today, I would like to invite everyone here to a briefing session later where we will be demonstrating some of the key points that we spoke about earlier on with our technology partner, Tenable and Checkpoint. So in the demonstration, we will also be showing, everyone how would an end-to-end integration between the different, orchestrating through the different technology that your customers may have in your environment would look like. Thank you.
Very much. A big round of applause. Miss Jolene Lim kindly remain on the stage as Kun Glitsana will be doing the honor of wrapping it up briefly in Thai, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. ขออนุญาตไม่เกิน2 นาทีนะคะก็คือจริงๆแล้วทุกคนอาจจะNetWitness คืออะไรนะคะจริงๆแล้ว NetWitness เนี่ยก็คือความจริงก็คือว่าเป็นโปรดักต์หนึ่งที่เป็นในส่วนของ SIEM ที่อยู่ภายใต้ RSA นะคะตอนนี้ก็คือเราแยกออกเป็นลักษณะของ Business อีกเป็นบริษัทหนึ่งเลยนะเป็นอีกแบรนด์หนึ่งชื่อว่า NetWitness นะคะสิ่งที่ในฝั่งของโจลีนอธิบายก็คือจะเป็นในส่วนของตัวโปรดักต์ที่เป็นในส่วนของ XDR คือ Extended Detect and Response นะคะเขาก็มีchallengeบอกว่าในเรื่องของการบริหารจัดการของ SOC เองเนี่ยสิ่งที่challengeก็คือจะมี2 คำหลักๆก็คือ FOMA and FOMI FOMA ก็คือ Fear of Missing Incident นะคะเนื่องจากว่าเวลาเราเก็บล็อกขึ้นมาสิ่งที่สำคัญคือ Incident เยอะมากมายเลยเขากลัวสิ่ง Missing ในส่วนของที่เป็น Missing Incident ที่สำคัญกับอีกตัวหนึ่งก็คือ FOMA Fear of Missing Analytics โอเค Incident มาครบแล้วแต่ Analyze ยังไงไม่ให้ตกไม่ให้หล่นให้มันแบบโอเคมีในฝั่งความสามารถมากที่สุดนะคะในส่วนที่มาของ Product ก็คือว่าเราก็คือต้องทำให้ทุกอย่างเป็น visibility นะคะปกติก็คือเรามองเสียมก็เหมือนว่าเราเก็บหลอกสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นมาแล้วนะคะเหมือนเราเข้ามาในห้องเนี่ยเก็บโอเคใครเข้ามามีลูกค้าคนไหนเข้ามาบ้างแต่สิ่งที่ lost ไปคือชั้นคือว่าเราไม่รู้ว่าเกิดอะไรขึ้นในห้องประชุมมีการทำอะไรกันอยู่นั่นก็คือการที่เราจะต้องมีการ collect ในเรื่องของ packageเพื่อให้เห็นทุกสิ่งทุกอย่างทุก movement ในฝั่งของ network traffic ต่างๆนะคะมันก็คือจะเป็นลักษณะว่า visibility ก็คือว่าเขาจะมีทั้งในส่วนหลอก package และก็ในส่วนของ endpoint นะคะพอเป็น visibility เสร็จปุ๊บทำยังไงต่อก็คือเราก็จะมีทั้งในเรื่องของ machine learning มีทั้งในเรื่องของ UEBA มาช่วยในการทำ analyze นะคะแล้วก็ออกมาเป็นลักษณะของ meta data ที่เขาบอกว่าเป็น orchestra ก็เหมือนว่าเรามี device เยอะแยะมากมายเลยค่ะไม่ต้องอะไรมากเนี่ยเก็บหลอกจาก checkpoint มั่งเก็บหลอกจาก Tanium เก็บหลอกจากในฝั่งของ CyberArk ดูแล้วลายตาไปหมดนะคะในส่วนของตัวในฝั่งของ NetWitness เองมา point มาทำเป็นเหมือนเลเซอร์ฉันมีแว่นเป็น smart card ฉันมี pointer มาชี้ให้นี่เลเซอร์ให้ตรงนี้นะ incident ไหนสำคัญ alert ขึ้นไปนะคะ alert เสร็จปุ๊บก็มีในเรื่องของ threat intelligence นอกบ้านมีอะไรบ้างในส่วนของประเทศอื่นเขามีในเรื่องเรามาแชร์กันเฮ้ยเนี่ยมันมีเทรดอันเนี้ยเข้ามาอยู่ในฝั่งขององค์กรของเราแล้วนะคะนั่นก็คือจะเป็นในส่วนของเรียกว่า NetWitness is XDR นะคะเราก็มองว่าพอเรา see everything มองเห็นเราก็ fear nothing เราไม่ต้องกลัวอะไรเลยโอเคไหมคะนี่คือในฝั่งของ NetWitness ค่ะขยับหน้านิดนึงค่ะเพราะเราจะได้รีเฟรชขึ้นทุก18 นาทีนะคะโอ้โหไม่เห็นมีใครเล่นเหมือนแบบครูเงาะเลยอะโอเคขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ขอเสียงปรบมือและขอขอบคุณคุณกฤษณาครับที่ได้ให้เกียรติในการกล่าวสรุปเนื้อหาสาระที่สำคัญนะครับ